Hello everyone. There is a common mistake that most PR teams are doing, and when I say mistakes, it is that they chase one off media hits, they celebrate a feature and then go silent. And a week later, what do we see? There's no traffic, no leads, no brand recall. So, in this video, I'm going to show you how to build a 12-month media narrative so every piece of coverage stacks, compounds, and actually drives business results. So, let's get started. The foremost problem with one off PR is that it is just a one time thing. And let me tell you what most PR teams do actually. They react to hero queries, they pitch random stories, they land a feature, and then they move on to the next thing. So you see that there is no continuity. Journalists don't remember you, audience don't connect the dots, and your brand becomes noise. So PR isn't supposed to be a slot machine, it's supposed to be a storytelling that happens over time. Let's see a shift in your approach that can tackle this problem. Instead of asking, how do we get featured this week? You need to start asking, what do we want to be known for in 12 months? And this single shift changes everything because now every pitch has a purpose, every quote builds authority, and every mention reinforces the same narrative. Now, let's see the 12-month narrative framework, which will, in a way, help you to establish whatever we have discussed till now. And I'm going to give you a exact system. So, starting with the first step, that is define your core narrative. Pick one to two themes maximum. For example, you can go ahead with the future of remote work, or why traditional marketing is broken, or how founders can scale without burnout. Your narrative should sit at the intersection of your expertise, market trends, and what journalists are already looking for or what they care about. Do not try to talk about everything. Just become known for one thing, which is also something you have your expertise in. Step two is break it into story angles. Once you have picked a theme, you need to turn that narrative into multiple angles. For example, if your core narrative or the core theme is remote working is evolving, then there can be multiple angles, and the angles could be productivity myths in remote teams, cost savings versus hidden costs, hiring globally versus locally, and cultural challenges. So you see, we had one core narrative, and from that narrative, we produced four different angles. And each angle gives you multiple pitches plus multiple opportunities. Step three is layer your media appearances. Now you start stacking visibility, hero responses, guest articles, podcast interviews, expert quotes, but here's the key. You are repeating the same narrative from different angles. This creates familiarity, authority, recognition. And journalists start thinking, oh, I've seen this person before. And that's exactly you need to do with journalists. Now, step four is to create narrative moments. This is where you level up. Instead of reacting, you start leading. You introduce proprietary data, unique opinions, contrarian takes. For example, you now start covering topics like we analyzed 500 companies and found X, or why everyone is wrong about this specific industry trend. Now, you're not just part of the conversation, you are the one leading it and shaping it. Step 5 is dominate association. At this stage, the goal is simple. You own the topic. When someone hears your niche, they should think of you. How? Double down on top performing angles, repeat journalists who covered similar stories, reference your previous coverage in new pitches. For example, just say something like, hey, as featured in XYZ, I've been tracking this trend. Now, your PR becomes self reinforcing. Now, The question is how doing all this actually drives result. And here's what changes when you do this right. So, for example, um, journalists come to you, your response rate goes up, and your close rate improves. Your brand becomes recognizable, and most importantly, you stop starting from zero every single time. Each piece of PR builds on last. So, this is how you achieve the results. But let me also share some common mistake that people do. And before I talk about this, I want you to have a look at these pitch examples that I've created. Now, as you know that when I was earlier talking about picking a narrative and building different angles through it, this is the example of it. So when we are talking and when our core narrative is about remote work, we can maybe do this, pick a topic, use data strong hook, and offer insights quickly. So whenever you add a data and a strong hook, it makes your pitch instantly credible and portrays yourself as a leader in that specific genre. Then it's about then the second example can be, now when you are talking about another topic, which is hidden cost of global hiring, you can highlight something that uh, is overlooked angle, and you show your expertise with outcomes. This will show that you are not someone who goes with the flow, but you are someone who actually knows your stuff. Then next example is, if you are picking a topic like why remote culture fails, you can also add a contrarian angle. And trust me, this is a type of stuff that journalists actually like. And then apart from giving the contrarian angle, you can also offer frameworks and proof. So this is how you can make your pitch stand out of literally the thousand of other pitches that journalists get. So coming back to the common mistakes I was mentioning earlier, uh, there are some things that you need to avoid at all cost, which is you switch your narrative too often. So you need to stick to your core narrative, because every time you switch your narrative, you reset your authority every time. When you chase trends that are outside your lane, it confuses your positioning. If you don't track what works, you are missing compounding opportunities. And when you start treating PR as short term, you kill long term impact. Now, there are some practical execution for PR teams as well. And if you are in the PR team or you run a PR team, here's what to implement immediately. First, create a narrative tracker which tracks themes, angles, and placements. Second is you need to build a pitch bank by angle. So your team isn't starting from scratch every single time. Next is review monthly. Review your pitches, see what angles got responses and what should we double down on. And then you need to also align with content plus social, which is you need to use same narrative everywhere. So if you take one thing from this video, it's that PR isn't about getting featured. It is in a sense, but it's not all about it. It's also about becoming unavoidable in your category and in your expertise. And that only happens when you think in months, not moments. And which is why I emphasize to think out of the box and look at the bigger picture. So, as usual, if you have any comments, any thoughts, you want to share your experience with me, then go ahead and drop your comments down below, and I will see you in the next one.